Hey there, welcome today. Sorry, I had to put my coffee down and knock my phone. Welcome to day 13 of our Get Up and Go challenge. It's a 40-day challenge. I was challenged to do a 40-day challenge, and since I've been doing a 5 and a 30-day Get Up and Go challenge, I thought what better challenge to do than to hone this one and do it again and bring you and some folks along with to see how I actually, on the inside out, do my challenges. So today, day 13, yesterday we wrapped up and we went through the longer version of the change process. The change process, the challenge process, the pivot process, whatever you want to call it. I just call it a change process, but lately I've been calling it my challenge process because challenges create change. Challenges and obstacles and roadblocks and failures and things that come up that change outside of us require that we in some way, shape, or form change. So how do we handle that? What process do we use? And we talked about what process we use by default and what process we want to go to using automatically. Make this our new default, the SOAP process. So today is, of course, the S of SOAP because I want to hop into. Yesterday, I asked you to consider which of the 7 areas of your life you want to continue to work on because we're going to start and go through the SOAP process again, step by step by step. We're going to do that at least 2 more times this time and at least 1 more time for sure. I haven't looked ahead at my days and how I planned them out. Maybe 2. Yep, we'll do it at least 2 more times for sure. So that by the time the 40 days is up, we've all gone through together the SOAP process again and again and again and again, and it becomes inherent in our subconscious and our being. We automatically will have a challenge or a problem or an obstacle that pops up, and we won't even have to think about SOAP and what each of them involve. We'll just automatically go through that. Our brain will automatically take us through the steps and lead us to better results than we would if we weren't going through the process. So, the S. I've decided that instead of going through the physical again, which I'm going to keep doing the physical. I think I shared yesterday that I cut out sugar. I'm going to keep cutting out sugar for the whole 40 days now and see how that impacts me because I don't really know yet. I can't really tell with a day here and a day there not eating sugar if that's impacting me or not. 4 days is not enough to know if the result is really in the right direction. So sometimes I'll feel worse when I first do something like that, which means my result is going down, and I could quit then, and I could say, oh, that's not working. Or I can say, okay, that's really not enough time to make any conclusions, to draw any significant, valuable, for me, conclusions by stopping doing something so soon. So as far as my physical well-being goes, throughout the rest of the challenge, I'm just going to try to eliminate all sugar. Now, I did have a glass of wine last night on a family Zoom, so that might have had sugar in it. I don't know. It didn't have added sugar, so that's how I'm defining it. No sugar. But for this run through the SOAP process, I am going to look at my finances. Because if I look at the areas that were the lowest for me, it was physical, financial, and relationships. Now, that makes a lot of sense, right? We've all been quarantined for several months, and some of us have health challenges that need us to continue to be vigilant and be careful. You know what? We should have always been being careful, but now it just raises our level of awareness in terms of being careful and how we interact with other human beings. So, relationships are automatically impacted when we're separated from one another physically. And then financial and physical. So I did physical, so now I want to talk about financial. Now I'm going to admit, this is one of the most, and remember we talked about yesterday, the longer process, and when it comes to belief and emotions and spirituality, all of the areas of our life come into play when we talk about our finances. Each one of these areas always impacts one another, but finances seems to be one of the most emotionally laden, belief-impacted areas of any of our lives. Maybe it's just me, but it seems like everybody I meet, everybody I talk to has deep-seated beliefs about money and about finances. It's kind of like our beliefs about politics and religion. We have these feelings about these things, and a lot of them we've grown up with and we've picked up over the years, but we've never consciously said, well, what does this mean? Where did this come from? Do I even really believe this? Who does this belong to? You know, I realized when I was grown up that I had a lot of beliefs that were my parents' beliefs, and I asked myself when I was old enough to realize that, wow, this is interesting. I didn't know I believed that. Who does that belong to? And I'd be like, okay, well, that one's from my mom, that one's from my dad. You know, there's no such thing as can't, which is an awesome belief, by the way, I got from my dad, and I chose to keep that one. But there are other beliefs I got from my dad that didn't serve me very well. You know, the belief that you just work your ass off your entire life and you'll be fine. you should be a workaholic. I got that from my dad, and that did not serve me very well. I mean, it served me really, really well as far as finances and money and career went, but it didn't serve me very well with respect to my relationships, my spiritual growth and development, my emotions, my stress level, my relationships with my kids and my family. So there's always balancing that has to go on in each and every one of us. So finances is the one I'm going to do this time. I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be a hard one for me. It's gotten easier as I've gotten older because I've been through so much stuff. Remember that lifeline I shared a few days ago? Yeah, receive my lifeline. It's interesting, but we can do the same exercise and the same activity with our financials and with our financial, and like say with our money. And we can just do like an up and down lifeline of our money and how it's going. And is it trending up or is it trending down? Well, a while ago, I experienced a massive downtrend in my income. And we can be looking at our net worth, our income. We get to decide what and how we're going to measure success in our own lives. To you, it might be money in the bank. To me, it might be money how much money can I give to charity? How can I positively impact the world? Or it might be, whatever success is to you. We get to decide, but we do that by first looking at where we are right now, being really hardcore, 100% authentic and honest with ourselves in terms of where we are. And it's not an emotional thing. It's like, this is just where we are in a snapshot right now. One thing I learned, and I can't remember who I learned it from, but when we're looking at what is right now, we can take the emotion out of it, because where we are right now is the cumulative effect of all the decisions and choices and beliefs and feelings and things we've had in the past. And that's led us to this very moment, this very place and time, and how we are currently judging any of the areas of our life. So all of my past financial decisions, all of my past financial beliefs, all of my money beliefs, everything has led me to the point I'm at right this second. Now, we don't have to stay there. We don't have to continue to believe what we've always believed. We don't have to continue to behave in ways that we've always behaved. We can always change that. But we have to first know what the snapshot looks like. So what does it look like right now? And then we have to, of course, know, well, where do we want to go? So if it looks like right now you've lost your job and you don't have any money coming in, that's just a cold, hard fact. That is what your situation is right now. Doesn't mean you're going to stay there. So what do you want? Do you want to get another job in the same profession? Do you want to start a side gig? Do you want to have your own business? Do you want to do something online? Do you want to, maybe you've always wanted to be able to travel. I don't know what it is for you, but financially, what do you need then to support your ideal desired lifestyle? So we just have to know where we are now and where do we want to be. And you can pick which measurement you want to look at. Like I said, it can be income. It can be, I don't like looking at income personally, and here's why. Because I can make a whole lot of money, but if I'm paying out as much in expenses to run my business or to support my lifestyle as I'm making, or even a little more, and I'm going negative, that's not what I want to look at. I want to look personally, and you can decide what your number is to look at. I want to know what I have for disposable income. So after I've created and done everything that I want to do in, let's say, and you can look at it daily, weekly, monthly. I look at it monthly. I look at each month, and if in the month I've got money left over after the month is over, disposable income, that's the number I look at. And I want to make sure that my disposable income is always going up. Is it always going up? No, not always, but for the most part, I want my graph to be trending upwards, because that's personally what I want, continuous improvement. So you have to decide what it is for you. So finances. What's our story, and what our story are we telling ourselves about our finances? The who, of course, in the story section is us. It's us. We are the hero of our own story and of our own journey. The what is, and for me this time through the soap, it's about finances and money. And of course, like everybody else, I want to make more money. I want to figure out how I'm going to bring more money in, no matter what the circumstances are in the world or in the environment or in the economy. I want to know that I'm 100% responsible and in control of bringing a certain amount of money in. And that once, for me, is always covering all of my expenses, all my desired expenses, and then some left over. Enough left over to give and help make the world a better place, and enough left over as a cushion, so that when things like a pandemic would come up, that there's a cushion of at least 6 months to survive at the level of life that I want for myself and those I love and care about. That's just my guideline. So where you are now, where you want to be. What's the story you're telling yourself right now? And then it's really fun to think about what does this story need to be? What is my story going to be, you know, say a year from now, if I stay the same and don't do anything? And then what's my story going to be if I decide that this is an area, if finances are an area of my life, or my physical well-being, or my emotions, or my spiritual development, if I'm going to work on that, even just for the next 4 or 5 days during this challenge, you can absolutely positively impact an area of your life with 5 days of concentrated effort by going through this model. Because what it does on a subliminal level is it automatically gets your subconscious working on this area of your life. So even when you're not consciously thinking about it and working on it, on a subconscious level, your reticular activating system is out looking for ways to help you to achieve the goals and the objectives you want that you set up by going through this whole process. And we need our subconscious to help us do that, because guess what? We can't think of 7 areas simultaneously to be working on consciously all the time. Our brain gets in overwhelm, overload, and it just wants to shut down. At least my brain just wants to shut down when it gets overloaded like that. And I like to think that I'm a good multitasker, right? But there's a difference between multitasking for survival and focused effort to get the results that you really, really want. So finances, my story, what am I telling myself? When and where and why do I want to achieve the goal and the future vision of what I want? Why do I want that? Because remember the why from the 7 layers deep of why? That is going to be the thing that drives me when I try something and it doesn't work, and I feel like it's like, oh, is it really worth it? Or when I feel like, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it to figure out how to do something on the computer so that I can add another stream of income to my life? Is it really worth it? I'm going to say yes, but for you it might not be, depending on your unique situation. So today our assignment is to share in the comments below what area of your life are you working on, and then maybe a sentence or two about the story you've been telling yourself, because it's just a snapshot of where we are right now. It's got nothing to do with where you're going. It's just accumulated effect of what's gone on in your past. Now, lots of our stories are pretty miserable because of the shutdown of COVID-19. And we can blame that, or we can say that's just something that happened outside of our control that I wasn't prepared for. I didn't have 2 months, or it's going on 3 months now, of supplies or anything stored up. I didn't have 6 months of income stored up. Shame on me. But I was working toward that and hadn't gotten there yet, right? So, finances, my story. Maybe I'll share my story below, and I got to figure out how to summarize it, because I've had 60 years of it, so that's a lot, and it's not all pertinent. Like I said, I do the same thing with my lifeline. I do a line of, okay, the highs and lows, the highs and lows, the highs and lows. You know, there's times I got fired. Well, that would be a low point. There's times I got promotions that I really didn't expect and got raises. That would be a high point. Selling some of my businesses would be high points. Great deals in different industries would be high points. But then there's low points too that balance it all off. And we were looking for the trend. So that's it. If you have any questions about S in SOAP, in our process for handling, share in the comments below. We'll do a Q&A whenever y'all want one. I'll hop on and we'll do a live Q&A and make sure you're getting your questions answered. And I'd say sooner rather than later. Let's do that so that we make sure we're on the right track and we're progressing the way we want to, right? We want to not just be moving, we want to be progressing. And to me, progress is moving in the direction we want to go, not in the opposite direction. Have an awesome day. If I can help in any way, ask. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow with O again, for our change and challenge handling process for our 40-day Get Up and Go challenge. Get up, go, have an awesome day, and I will be with you tomorrow.